Okay, so the next part we looked at in the book was called what?
Computer music files and prime numbers.
Computer music files and prime numbers. Now, unfortunately, this section didn't have a lot about prime numbers in it. That comes in the sections after it.
Yeah.
But it was still pretty neat.
Yeah.
What did it talk about?
So, it talks about like the ways that you can, the ways that music is displayed, like how the note is actually displayed and what a perfect note would sound like.
Okay. So what did it say about a perfect note?
So a perfect note would have, like, you would just hear it as a vibration.
Okay.
Because you can't really get to a perfect note.
Why not?
Because it's like so hard. It's so like you might miss it by just like maybe like how do you measure?
Yeah,
You might,
pretty tricky. Do you want to play a C? Can you play a C since we're just sitting right next to the piano by accident?
Okay. So this is a C.
Okay, that's a pretty good C.
Yeah.
All right. And then, so once we had our one perfect note, and we could hear that, C.
And then we played another.
And what happened when you played the second note?
It sounded different. It wasn't like perfect anymore.
Was it you played a C and an E together, I think.
Okay.
So it changed the graph a lot.
Yeah, it was surprising. A C looked pretty simple, like a nice perfect wave.
Yeah.
And an E also, all by itself, looked like what?
That perfect wave.
And what happened when the C and the E were played together?
But
It was sort of like a weird wavy.
so it went like
Graph.
this, and then it kind of that and went up.
Yeah, why don't you do it? Why don't you play a C, then an E, then play them together?
Okay, so C, an E, and then this is both of them.
Interesting. And so it was talking about trying to understand that more complicated C and E wave together. And there were two ways to do it. What was one of them?
Well,
So you could like measure it at some different times, like maybe 100th of a second,
Uh-huh.
or you can just.
So that was one way. You could try to like record that sound every 1/100th of a second and record and try to reconstruct the wave
Yeah.
pattern that way.
or you could just try to separate it out into the individual vibrations.
Yeah, and which way did you need to keep track of fewer things?
Well, the vibration way.
Okay, and what did you have to keep track of?
I think it was like the spectrum.
Yeah, that was the word, but
Yeah.
what was the things that you had to keep track of?
Or isn't it the notes themselves?
Okay, you tried to back up into the two notes somehow.
You played them at different times.
You had to keep a track of how far apart they were played from each other. That's
Yeah.
one.
How loud they were played.
How loud each one was played, so that's two more things, so a total of three.
Then wouldn't it be four things because you have to keep track of the way the two notes. So how far the notes are apart.
Yeah, how far apart they are, that was one. How loud they each were, that was two. And then there were two more things, one for each prior note.
Like when you played them.
That was kind of the first one.
Yeah, that was the phase. It was how long between the peaks of each note.
So how fast it was played.
Basically, that was what are the two notes.
Yeah.
So there you had to keep track of 5 things versus keeping track in your way, measuring it every 100th of a second. You'd have to keep track of 100 things every second.
Wow.
Yeah. So this method of analysis is called Fourier analysis, and it was named after a mathematician whose name was
Fourier.
Fourier. What an amazing coincidence. And although this doesn't have directly in the first read something to do with prime numbers, it's still pretty neat.
Yeah.
And this is teaching you about how computers can keep track of music and how a computer can play music.
Yeah.
So it's pretty neat and a very interesting thing in math. So cool. Did you learn something in that chapter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about the previous chapter?
Yeah. That was cool.
New questions.
Yeah, it looks like a pretty cool book. Okay. Thanks, guys.